Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear little knucklehead, you've wandered onto the number 5 prog rock channel on all of YouTube. Well, that's according to Grok. Apparently, I moved down a couple spots because I used to be in the number 3 spot. Oh boy, what am I going to do about it? Well, I'm just going to keep on keeping on, and today we've got a good one for you, man. Monday, I shot an episode about the greatest moments in Prague, those magical moments, right? And I discovered that all my favorite moments in the history of music were from the 70s, and that got me thinking, do I just love 70s music, or am I just a 70s kind of guy? You know, I was born in 62, so the 70s are kind of where I grew up, and, you know, that's where a lot of my opinions were formulated and all that kind of stuff, and I'm sure you guys are kind of the same way, but it wasn't all great in the 70s, right? I contend that the 70s were the best decade for a lot of reasons, but there's a few things that happened that probably we should talk about. You know, you had Bangladesh, you know, with the incredible loss of life, the double whammy of the typhoon and the war with Pakistan, Vietnam, right? You had the Vietnam War going on, Watergate, the Arab oil embargo, which caused the stagflation and the horrible economy. Jonestown, 990 people take their life in Guyana, just insane. The Iran hostage crisis, 6 weeks before the decade's over, students rise up and take over the U.S. Embassy, and 444 days later, I guess the 66 hostages were released. But the one thing I was going to put on this list, but I decided not to, was the mall. Right? I mean, I think about the 70s and I think about all those great Christmas seasons spent in the Brookfield Square Mall outside of Milwaukee. And I did not include the mall, not because I hate the mall. I love the mall. I miss malls. But because it is not really just a 70s thing. The mall culture started in the 60s, and it kind of extended all the way till about 2005, when malls around the country were just shuttering left and right, and there's really no good malls left except the outdoor malls. And who wants that, man? The whole idea of a mall is that it's climate controlled. It's ridiculous. Anyway, boys and girls, here are the 10 reasons why the 70s ruled, why the 70s were the greatest decade of all. And at number 10, I'm going with cop shows. Oh, yeah. The 60-minute procedural cop show absolutely hit its apex in the 70s. There were so many great police shows out there, and they all had great theme songs, too. That's the coolest part about it. You had Adam 12 and Beretta, Barnaby Jones and Cannon, Charlie's Angels, Columbo, Harry O, Hawaii Five-O, Ironside, Kojak, Mannix, McMillan and Wife, Police Story, Police Woman, Rockford Files, The Rookie, Shaft, Starsky and Hutch, Streets of San Francisco, SWAT, Toma, Vegas. Oh, the 70s were great for cop shows. If you like those kind of shows, which I do, I still watch those kind of shows. I love FBI on CBS here lately. Anyway, at number 9 for the 10 reasons why the 70s ruled, I'm going with punk rock, man. I know a lot of my audience, you know, this is the prog corner and whatnot, but the 70s were a time when all kinds of different music came to the forefront, whether it be jazz fusion or reggae or the dreaded disco, electronic music. All of this stuff came up from the 70s. Prog rock, obviously, but we'll probably be talking about that in a minute. But it's punk rock that stole the heart of the latter half of the decade, and rightly so. Things were getting stale, things were getting boring, things were getting a little bit, you know, Tormato and Love beachy. So yeah, it was inevitable that, you know, some band or group of bands would come around and absolutely change everything. That's exactly what happened, and it needed to happen. It absolutely did. So yeah, at number 9, punk rock, one of the 10 reasons the 70s were the absolute best. And at number 8, no internet, man. No social media, no cell phones. We were on our own, man. We had to kind of, you know, do things to, you know, create fun for ourselves, whether it be hanging out with friends or going to the mall or listening to music, like having a bunch of friends over and spinning a new record, stuff like that. Yeah, the internet definitely helps as far as breaking new bands and stuff like that, but it's not as much fun, right? It was a lot more fun, not really knowing, living in the dark, figuring stuff out, having these revelations, right? You can't do that anymore. And social media and the internet has just really diluted everything. It's changed everything. And if you want to talk about disruptors, you could go all the way back to 1980 when MTV started, but we're not going to do that, man. MTV didn't kill anything. It just kind of changed the optics a little bit. But having the internet, having social media, absolutely. We didn't have any of that junk in the 70s, man. We had friends and we had a telephone that, with a rotary dial, and, you had this long cord if you wanted to talk to somebody while going into the bathroom. That probably wasn't going to work unless you had a long cord. It was ridiculous. At number 7 for the 10 reasons the 70s ruled. How about music magazines? Oh, yeah, here in the States, we have Rolling Stone, which really doesn't count, but it was Trouser Press. It was Cream. It was Circus. I loved those magazines. And every once in a while, I would get a hold of a UK British magazine, British music magazine like Sounds or NME or Melody Maker. And they were just so great. I mean, unlike all these thousands and thousands and thousands of critics and people that pseudo-journalists on the internet, back in the day, you actually had real people writing real articles, real reviews. They were good at what they did, and they definitely did their job in the 70s. And I always look forward to picking up a new copy of Cream or Trouser Press or Circus. I'm not going to lie, I miss those. We have Prague Magazine today, so that's cool. At number 6 for the 10 reasons the 70s are the absolute best, it was the movies, man. Oh, man, there were so many amazing movies. I don't even go to the movies anymore because the movies are just terrible. Everything's either a comic book thing or a sequel or a prequel or a cartoon. What, do I look 10 to you? I'm not watching no damn cartoons. That's ridiculous. I hate that, how there's, all those little nods to, oh yeah, that's a joke that only the adults will get. You're taking your kids to the movies. It's ridiculous. But back in the 70s, man, they knew how to make movies. Star Wars, Superman, even the Star Trek movie. The first one came out in 79. The Godfather, Jaws, Close Encounters, The Exorcist, Rocky, Apocalypse Now, Alien, American Graffiti, Blazing Saddles. I'm just scratching the surface. You get the point. Movies in the 70s were great, and there was a reason why there were people lining up around the block to go see movies. There's a reason why movies would stay at the top of the box office list for more than 2 weeks like they do now. People would go to the movies, and if it was a good movie, you'd go to see it 2 or 3 times. People don't do that anymore. There's not a movie worth seeing 1 time anymore, let alone 2 or 3 times. So yeah, the movies, absolutely. At number 5. Affordable concert tickets, man. I mean, I haven't been to a concert in a while, and part of it is ticket prices, right? I would have loved to have gone seen, Sting and Peter Gabriel, but, I don't have a spare $1,000 lying around for me and my wife to get decent tickets. It's ridiculous. Look at what I'm showing right here. Look at that. Look at that Led Zeppelin ticket. $9.50. We didn't have any legacy acts in the 70s, so there was no, Rolling Stones or anything like that. Well, there was a Rolling Stones, but they weren't, that dinosaur version charging, $800 a ticket. We didn't have any of that in the 70s. If you wanted to go see Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, any of the big bands, you could afford to do so. You didn't have to put a second mortgage on a house to do that. At number 4, you ever notice how in the 80s, vinyl was still going, but the labels got really, really cheap. And I contend that the gatefold sleeve is one of the greatest inventions of all time. Oh, yeah, how you could just, immerse yourself in the artwork or, stories or the lyrics or whatever the artist wanted to do. Gave him a bigger palette, gave him a bigger canvas, and you could do all kinds of good things. I mean, look at what Roger Dean did with Close to the Edge. Oh, just unbelievable. Gatefold sleeves. And you know what else you could do with gatefold sleeves? You know exactly what else you can do with gatefold sleeves. At number 3, it's FM radio. Radio changed once Reagan got into the White House in the 80s. Deregulation completely changed the whole landscape of radio, whereas there were regulations in place that, if you owned a radio station in town, you couldn't own a newspaper, you couldn't own another radio station within a 50-mile radius, all this kind of stuff. But, in the 70s, the guy that owned the radio station also had the Pontiac dealership down the road, or maybe he had a Burger King franchise, just a local dude making good. But what that meant was there wasn't anybody in a suit in New York City telling him what to do. Because once deregulation came around, the Pontiacs ain't selling like they used to, and Clear Channel's coming at me wanting to buy my radio station for 4 times its going value. Of course they all sold. And now you had like 2 or 3 companies that completely dominated the airwaves. You have 3 guys in a suit in New York City making all the programming decisions around the country. Just terrible. You don't get the regional hits anymore. Bands like Styx would have never broken. They just wouldn't, because there wasn't that regional radio station like WLS in Chicago to break them. You have to get with the man in the suit in New York to break a band. Is terrible. It killed everything. Oh, yeah. At number 2, for reasons why the 70s were the best, it's record stores, man. And I know vinyl's had a resurgency, and as a result, there are more record stores out there. But back in the 70s, man, we had the good ones, right? We had all the good record stores. And I went to work at a record store in 1980, but the 70s, man, I spent most of my days working in shopping in a record store. So once I turned 18, I'm like, I might as well work in one. If I'm going to be in a record store all day anyway, I might as well get paid for it. But those were the days where I would just dig through and look at every single record, look at the back, look at the front. Oh, man, I would spend hours and hours and hours in Peaches in Fort Lauderdale, or before that when I was in Wisconsin at Mainstream Music in Waukesha. I miss those days. I truly do. And you could get your concert tickets there too, man, amongst other things, if you know what I mean. And number 1 reason why the 70s were the absolute best decade in the history of planet Earth, it's prog rock. It's prog rock. Absolutely. You had an entire decade where prog rock was king. It's crazy to think about. Jethro Tull put out Thick as a Brick, 1 song, hit number 1. And then their next album, A Passion Play, 1 song, it hits number 1. You had Yes and ELP selling out giant stadiums around the world. You had Genesis creating some of the greatest music ever recorded. It was just a crazy, wild time where anything went. And if your music was good, it would sell. And that's not really the case anymore. But we all know what happened once punk and disco came. And, all our favorite bands started getting all, like I said, all Love Beachy and Tormato. We are breaking up, So, people were looking elsewhere. But man, oh man, the 70s was when prog rock ruled the world, and I miss a world where prog rock is in charge. I absolutely do. Anyway, boys and girls, I've got a good Sunday live stream planned for you. It's just going to be me and this Italian cat named Massimo Peretti. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's awesome. He's got 2 albums out. His new one's called The Next Dream. Just an amazing record. I really, really like it. So we're going to sit down and talk to him about it and anything else we want to talk about. Just sitting around talking about prog rock on a Sunday morning. It's going to be awesome. Yes, it is. It's going to be so good. Join me then. Anyway, boys and girls, peace in the Middle East, free Tibet, free Ukraine, free your mind, free beer, free Willie, and God save King Chucky. Save King Chucky the Third. He needs you saving, boys and girls. I'm telling you, he really, really does. So bring that boy to America. Oh, yeah. I got thoughts and I got prayers. I got spells. I got incantations. Oh, we're going to chant the night away, saving that king from that cancer. And then you know what we're going to do? Oh, we're going to get on the phone and we're going to call our good friend Billy Bob. Hey, Billy Bob, bust out them snakes. Billy Bob, bust out them snakes. I don't know where Billy Bob is. Oh, no, here we go. We got snakes over here. Oh, they're loose. Billy Bob set them free. Oh, I don't like that, man. Were there snakes in the 70s? I guess there probably were, but they weren't. Oh, geez. Oh. I think they're more vicious in 2025 than they were in 1975.